Good evening, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. I'm joined here by our CEO, Scott Lawin. How are you tonight, Scott?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. I know it's 8:30 p.m. on the East Coast, so I appreciate you taking the time as always. And to go into it, I just want to preface. I've summarized the community's questions to make them more compact. So we're starting from the top to bottom in order of highest voted comments. You can take a look at these questions in the AMA Candy text channel. Scott here won't likely have time to go through all these questions. However, we'll try our best as a company to get to them post AMA. Community, I just want to say thank you for not only spending your evening with us, but for whipping up some incredibly thoughtful and really fantastic questions for our amazing CEO here. So let's get to the leadoff hitter, starting with Shazman. What do you think, Scott?
Yeah, that sounds great. Maybe before we dive in, I just want to echo, sort of second that emotion. Thank everybody for joining tonight, and really just thank everybody for being on the journey with us. We know a lot of you who are on the MA tonight have been with us from the very beginning. We recently celebrated our sort of official 1-year birthday as a company a couple of weeks ago, and when we look back at what we've built together over the course of the last year, the amazing community that we've created and where we're going, we're super excited. And we want to make sure that you folks know, at the end of the day, without you guys, there is no candy. And so really happy to be able to answer some questions during a sort of interesting time overall in the NFT and crypto markets, and hopefully give you some insight into where things are going in the future.
We're excited. Lots in store ahead. Thank you for being valued community members again, and thank you for spending your evening with us once again. With that said, Shad's going to lead it off, and he asks, what plans and ideas does Candy have to integrate IRL experiences into their products? Follow-up question, how do they plan to leverage the MLB partnership to give the baseball fan a true fandom experience beyond just the digital collectibles?
Great. So, thinking about this and really going back to the way that we have started down this path, we've always believed that a spectrum of digital only, digital physical, and digital experiential is really the right way to sort of build this business and the right way to bring more fans into the community and introduce them to what NFTs are and how they can work. When we started this journey with Major League Baseball, a little bit over a year ago, we sort of laid out that roadmap for them. They were excited about it, and as we went from the league level down to the team level, and for folks who are kind of OGs here with us, that stadium series that we put out was really important on the back of the Lou Gehrig and the Dodgers ring. Because what it did is it gave us an opportunity to work directly with each of the clubs and understand, at the very early days, what their interest in NFTs were, certainly what their knowledge of blockchain and NFTs were, their understanding of the potential, and then kind of the excitement or the plans and objectives that they had as it related to connecting with their fans and their communities. And so along the journey here through the Stadium Series and then through the Icon releases and then through some of the specific team-related releases, we've continued that dialogue and been working to develop individual experiences at the parks that are relevant to those communities, to the stadiums, to the players, et cetera. And I think what we've learned, to be honest, is we're still, I think, as we all know, overall early in the space. And as you would expect across 30 clubs, there are some clubs that are really excited and leaning in. There are some clubs that are supportive and engaged, and there's some clubs that are kind of watching and learning or waiting a little bit. And so as we think about that element of delivering IRL experiences, some of those are going to be directly with the clubs, and they'll be a bit more tailored and built around the NFT owners. And some of those will be, Candy finding ways to create those opportunities, whether it's at the stadium or, at events outside of that. So I know that's not super specific. We expect to start to deliver and announce some of those things over the course of the season, particularly as we finish getting the 2022 Icon leadoff series out, completing that, the first release so that all the players are in the market. And then as it relates to, some of the activations or some of the challenges that we'll have around those sets, some of those IRL experiences will get tagged to that. In terms of the second part of the question, thinking about, how do we continue to leverage the fandom experience beyond the digital collectible? As I said, the experiential piece and the connection to games is one piece of it. Given our partnership with Fanatics, we've always, believed that connectivity to physical memorabilia, whether that's, whether those are jerseys or cards or items like that, are also an important component. And so we do expect to start to combine more of those real life assets with our digital assets over the course of this year.
Best of both worlds, digital and physical fandom. Absolutely, I'm all for it. Organic Guy, they're asking a question about Sweet Futures football, and their question is, Sweet Futures football seems to be largely ignored by Candy and may have missed a chance to gain widespread attraction during the 2022 NFL Draft. They ask, why did Candy not provide some effort to be put into marketing for these to raise awareness, both on social media and with a presence on the Candy digital website?
So, Sweet Futures is one that came at us pretty quickly. If folks remember last year, everyone was surprised by the change in the NIL laws, and we were, really excited to be in the market with the first project for college student athletes. In football, we followed that up with a smaller release around college basketball. And as we think about what Sweet Futures is and what it can become, we do continue to see this as the platform and the opportunity to create that first set of rookie cards for these players. What we found, just to be totally honest, is that as early as it may be for some of the leagues and the teams to be engaged in this space, when you're dealing with individual athletes, it's also a series of individual conversations and individual education. And so thinking about the right way to engage those athletes, the right way to sort of market Sweet Futures as a set and as a product, and then the right way to kind of reward and deliver to collectors who are following Sweet Futures is still a work in progress. And I think one of the things that you're seeing, hopefully for folks who are engaged in our MLB products, is more visibility and more marketing. Getting the word out around our Icon products, bringing more people into the space. And so we're working on different ways to engage the Sweet Futures products as well. The draft is certainly a high profile moment. There will be other moments as we get to the start of the season, which will also be sort of tentpole or key or milestone moments that we can activate around.
Great, and I hope that answers a lot of community's questions about Sweet Futures. I know it's been a hot topic that arises from time to time, so I appreciate you feeling that, Scott. With that said, one of the hot topics around the NFT landscape is utility. And Brands TJE asks, will newer buyers be incentivized in any way to purchase icons from previous sets like the 21 All-Star and Uncut Diamond sets? Follow up with, will holding these complete sets provide ongoing utility? If so, would that be tied to the icons themselves, to the chasers, or to both?
So I think utility is clearly something that we see as the core of all of these type of sets that we're releasing. And what we're working through now around their 2022 icons is finalizing and announcing and defining what the utility will be around full set completions, around team set completions, around different types of completions over shorter periods and longer periods. I think as we think broadly about All Stars and Uncut Diamonds, those were obviously our inaugural products. We released the chasers for those two just a couple of weeks ago. We do see those products, particularly given they were our introductory icons, as things that will continue to deliver value. And that'll get baked into our overall reward and utility structures once we've got our 2022 full set in the marketplace. As we think about the ongoing roadmap here, and again we think about those sort of delivery mechanisms. Ultimately, some of those rewards and utilities will be digital, right? They'll roll into different versions or rarer versions of NFTs that complete the set. Some of those will be opportunities to deliver on the physical side, and some of those will be opportunities to deliver on the experiential side.
Great. And leaning into the next question, we have one of the best sub-communities within one of our, within our large community here at Candy, and that is the Stadium Series community. It's a trio of questions coming from Brett, Dooley, and Funkel, and they ask, what utility is being worked on for Stadium NFT holders based on rumors we'd heard early on? And if so, is there any timeline available as we heard earlier on as well?
So this goes back a little bit to the answering the first question, which is, we see Stadium Series as kind of the key linchpin at the team level. And so working with the clubs to really think about how can we deliver something to the Stadium Series holders that tie back directly to those teams and to the early support. What we'd like to do, obviously, is think about a mechanism that applies to all Stadium Series holders. And so as we work through the different levels of kind of interest and engagement with the clubs themselves, what we might end up doing is we might end up doing something to begin with that applies to all holders, and then something that becomes more specific team by team. But that's the objective.
Wonderful. And hope to expand more on that in the future, especially as that bridge maybe also works out. FD, you see him, you love him. He's got a question about season tickets. So if we're comfortable answering that question, by all means. He asks, I recently saw an email sent to Minnesota Twins season ticket holders letting them know that they can register for and receive a special season ticket holder NFT from Candy. Will this be a widespread program to reach out to season ticket holders of all 30 teams, or do the teams have to specifically opt in at this program on a case-by-case basis?
Yeah, so some of you may have seen, we did our first release of season tickets at the end of last week, and we're really excited about what we see as the potential of a commemorative NFT ticket as certainly a piece of individual memorabilia, but also as a collectible and a platform that can tie some of our other products together. And so over the course of the next couple of months, we will be releasing additional season tickets, not for all the clubs. Not all the clubs have opted into it at this point, but for a number of the clubs. And then over the course of the season, we'll also introduce a series of commemorative tickets for each of the clubs. Each club has an opportunity to create a handful of commemorative tickets to give away to their fans around specific events in stadium, whether that's commemorating a player, whether it's a special day for the community, etc. And then the ultimate goal over the course of the season here is to introduce an opportunity for sort of everyday tickets. And, we see that as a, great way to commemorate, watching the game, going to the game, and starting to connect across, again, from the club's perspective, more connectivity to folks who are participating in their fandom. Not just as collectors, but as viewers and sort of active participants in in the games and with the teams. And so we're working on with each individual team, thinking about how do we deliver those tickets. What does that experience as a collector look like? That's a different type of NFT. That may not necessarily be something that you're going to view alongside your icons or your trophies, but something that becomes that really interesting record of the game that you watched or the game that you were at. So super excited about where that goes, and certainly as we think about bringing more everyday fans into the space, and introducing NFTs to folks who are not yet hip to the game and understand the value of what these can bring. Tickets touch every single sort of fan experience that fan that walks into the stadium. So really excited about that as well.
Thanks for the incredible breakdown on tickets. I know that's been a recurring topic from time to time, kind of shrouded in a little bit of mystery, but now community had the whole spiel. Excited about it. It's been one of the most sought after utilities in the NFT space, one of the most speculated upon, and we're doing it. So exciting stuff there. With our next set of questions, it's a repeat of Dooley. You're just asking the most popular questions around. People love your questions. So he's got a question about hints, information about burn mechanics. Is there anything we can disclose beyond what we shared in our past blog and our past announcement on Discord last week about the icons burn mechanics?
So no specific details, which or it is probably a little frustrating. I think what I'd say is, the idea of having a burn mechanic is one that we really conceived back in last summer before we launched the platform. And I think as we think about it, and certainly as we look to the history of card collecting in the physical world, some of the the supply that ends up on the marketplace, the fact that when we introduce a large number of players, aside from kind of personal interest in completing collections and different challenges or collection rewards, people pull duplicates, and with a large number of icon cards and a large number of players, there will likely always be an opportunity for folks to have dupes. And so creating a mechanic that through a burn mechanism that dynamically manages that secondary market supply is one that we think is super interesting, and one that we think that we hope all of you as collectors view as valuable in the marketplace. The way that we want to introduce that is something that we're still working on, and so at its most basic, thinking about being able to to burn duplicate cards in exchange for something else, or duplicate icons, and then also thinking about different ways to combine different rarities or different player cards, not just duplicates of the same one. Again, to sort of unlock either new NFTs or different challenges. And so, that element of dynamically managing that supply and allowing collectors themselves to determine, as a particular player's icon gets burned and becomes more rare, whether you hold that icon, whether you contributed to a burn, etc. We're really excited about how that dynamic is going to work, and obviously looking, to the community as we're finalizing that structure. We'd love to hear your feedback. Some of it's already come out through the Discord when we announced burning, and that's super valuable. We'd love to hear more thoughts, because obviously we want it to work for everybody.
So some alpha there. That'll be the extent of what you hear about burning for now. I will lead into another question about it, but best reserved for this AMA until we're releasing further details down the line. One of the most pressing topics is the candy jersey, famous candy jersey. Organic Guy asks, what is planned for these, and will their burn mechanics play a factor with the 2022 MLB Icon burn mechanics?
So, we think the candy jersey burn starts out probably as something that's separate, but we certainly can see opportunities for burn mechanics to work across products. The candy jersey, which we launched at the end of last year, we do have specific plans around the burn mechanic for that, and what people will be able to to burn that for. That's a separate sort of product plan and timeline from the burn for the individual icons. But over time, as we think about what the MLB ecosystem looks like and how it builds itself out, we do see some of those cross-functional burns as well. We skipped over one question, Usman, around crypto payments, and I do want to address that. That was coming from Dooley and number one boom guy. Crypto payments are on the roadmap here in the near future. I think as we've built out our platform, and I know people have been, I think, a little disappointed with how quickly we've rolled out some functionality, whether that's been international payments or wire offs, etc. And I think what I just want to underscore is that when we're dealing with a partner like Major League Baseball, the process around how we introduce features, how we work with them, the safety and security that we bake into the system to make sure that the process that we have, whether it's through KYC, whether it's fraud prevention, whether it's sort of working through chargeback mechanics, from day one we've kind of over-indexed in making sure that the platform is stable, safe, and secure. And certainly when you have a partner like Major League Baseball, they have their own internal processes and reviews and approvals. And so, when we would have liked to have launched a lot of these features from day one, it's certainly taken a bit longer. But crypto payments will start out here in the next month or so, which is sort of what our timeline is. And so we're excited about opening that door and being able to allow people to start to fund their accounts through crypto, and then we'll continue to build on that through functionality as we go forward.
It'd be incredibly exciting. I know, Scott, you personally have been a big advocate for it. I think it's essential as part of the NFT Web3 ecosystem, and I know a lot of you have been inquiring, so happy to kind of lay that to rest and introduce the new feature. So exciting things in the coming months and the coming month for crypto payments in particular. With that, Mystery Machine asks, what are some of the major lessons Candy has learned from other competitors in the sports NFT industry? Follow-up, what is Candy doing to ensure they don't make those same mistakes?
So I think there's a lot of lessons along the way, and I think I would be lying if I told you we weren't still learning every single day when we are creating new products, when we're releasing them to the market, when we're working with the community, and when we're releasing new features. And so, I think our approach to everything that we're doing is to try to be humble. We've got strong conviction about the right way to build a business for the long term, and so we aren't looking to make quick hits in the market and move on to something else. We really do want to build a platform, a community, and a set of partners that that we truly believe set us up to kind of deliver the future of fan connectivity and digital collectibles. I think when we look around the space, one of the things that I'd say has probably been the most surprising, particularly in the sports space over the course of the last year, is how aggressive the other players in the market have been around reaching out and signing up rights for new leagues and new products, and working to sort of push that in the market as quickly as possible. Sports leagues are really, really good at the licensing business, and they've got a long history of doing that on media rights and apparel and things like that. And so the market has become really competitive really quickly. And I think our view is that some of the decisions and some of the deals that are getting done in the space that haven't yet been announced are ones that just may be ahead of the curve of where the market is and where the fan base and where the customers are today. And so, we've tried to be humble in the space. We've tried to, make good decisions, and we've tried to sort of grow our business as we grow our community and grow our customers. We're not always going to get it right. Obviously, over the course of the last few weeks, we've made some changes and some adjustments to timing and scope around the 2022 icons. And, we've heard, from folks who are on this call and others in the community about, the things that were working and the things that weren't working. And, I hope what you all feel is that we listen to you. It doesn't mean that we're going to be able to make all the changes that people suggest. It doesn't mean that we'll be able to make them as quickly or introduce certain things as quickly as everyone would like. But I do want to make sure that people understand that we want to be thoughtful, and we want to be responsive to our customers and to the community. And so we've certainly seen from some of the other players in the space when there have been issues, they've been less responsive, and I think that ultimately that impacts the community and impacts the product and it impacts the opportunity going forward. And we want to try to differentiate ourselves. I think one of the other things that we again prioritized and certainly have continued to learn along the way is how important having fantastic moderators are and engagement with the community. So certainly shout out to Usman and to Muntner and to Reasonable, who just do a spectacular job working with the community, addressing your questions, helping to shed light for new folks who are entering the space. And that's going to continue to be something that we will prioritize going forward.
To kind Scott, thank you so much. Appreciate the kind words as always, and very insightful answers. How are we doing on time, by the way? How many more questions can we field?
Listen, I think this is super important, so let's keep going.
Cool, gotcha. Moving on to the next one. I Got Worms asks, one major complaint of the community is the lack of essential features in the marketplace. My collection is missing filtering, sorting, grouping the same icons, badges. You're starting to address these, but can you explain why it seemed they were considered low priority at this point and what you're doing to accelerate the release of them? Follow up, are you hiring more developers, project managers to help speed up the process?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I guess what I'll say here is, we're disappointed too. We really hoped to have some of these features ready to go when we launched our marketplace. The good news is we expect to release a whole new set of features here by the end of May that will certainly help on the My Collection side, from the filtering, the sorting, being able to kind of get your hands around what you own and manage that. When we rewind the clock back, as I said, this business, as it got started in the beginning of 2021, we really were on a rocket ship path to get our platform built and get our first products in the market with our partners at baseball. And so along the way, when you're rapidly building and rapidly scaling, you don't always have the team or the resources or the time to kind of build things the way that you want to make them sustainable and scalable for the future. And so post our launch in October, and then post the launch of our, leading up to our marketplace launch, we've had the opportunity to spend the time that we need to really strengthen the platform and make sure that it is scalable and sustainable. And to some degree, that's come at the cost of releasing some of the UX features that we know are really important. The good news is, as I said, is that we're going to be rolling, I think, a lot of those key features out over the course of the next few weeks. And given that some of the back end infrastructure work is done now, and some of the new features around payments, we'll be able to focus more of our time, attention, and resources on delivering more of those important UX features. To the point on, hiring, companies now about 125 people, across the country, and a couple folks outside the country. And, our focus on the hiring front continues to be around engineering talent so that we can deliver on those experiences, those features, and continue to make Candy as a platform, a lot more engaging and a lot more rewarding for all of you.
Exciting, and I think the community will be excited by some of the rollouts that we introduce in the coming months and years. So a lot to come about, and it's a process, and development will take time, but we're excited what's cooking. Adrian asks, would Candy be open to fans in their MLB teams Discord channels to vote for the rest of their favorite team's players to be released at Candy, so we ensure a fan favorite doesn't end up in the cutting room floor? This is in regards to the restructure of the 2022 MLB Icon Leadoff Series, where players had cuts if they only had an uncommon max rarity tier icon.
Yeah, I think this is a perfect example of how, when we start to think about burning and we start to think about some of these other collection opportunities and challenges, this is a great opportunity for the community to give us feedback on what they'd like to see. And so in reducing the overall number of players by 90, folks who may be looking to collect a particular team or a particular player who's no longer in the lineup, I think that type of feedback is exactly the kind of things that we're looking for as we craft those opportunities around burns or collection challenges. So yeah, love to hear that.
Great, and I love the passion, the collectability aspect of people chasing the players in their teams, making sure fan favorites don't get cut out of the mix, and hopefully we can introduce them in the future. If they're out for the 2022 MLB Icon Leadoff Series, maybe in the future, another release. So you never know. Worms, I won't say the first part because I got dogged on, but they ask, how does Candy plan to distinguish themselves amongst all the current sports NFTs out there now? Market is getting watered down and struggling to find new customers and retain them. Would love to hear what Candy has in store to separate themselves from the rest. And I apologize, you might have touched on that earlier on a related question, but just in case there's any new insight.
Yeah, listen, I'll circle back on it. I talked a little bit about it before. I think, what I would say just generally about the business that we're building is, when we talk about what's happening in the space, in the NFT space, with our existing partners and our potential partners, we kind of see like three business models out there, right? There are sort of the, platform players who, are creating NFTs or trading NFTs. And, those are the exchange players that are out there. They're not really in the NFT business. They're not really in the fan business or the sports business, but they're players because they know that sports is a great opportunity to attract new customers. Then there are the product players, right? Those are some of the folks who are well established in the space, who have a particular product that they're replicating across different sports franchises, and they see an opportunity to take a particular type of NFT collectible and kind of bang that out across different communities. And then the way we think about it is we're sort of in the partnership business, which is we're really working with our league partners and ultimately our team partners to create these ecosystems that provide opportunities for fans to connect in different ways. And so, while the digital collectible, whether it's an icon card or it's a limited edition bust or something like that, is always going to be at the core of what we're doing. Things like, collectible tickets or commemorative tickets, things like digital apparel through the jerseys, are things that, we think have, real value and a real future in starting to connect people more closely to the sport. And so, I think that really distinguishes Candy in the space today. And, as I mentioned before, our partnership with Fanatics, as Fanatics continues to kind of build out its business, not just in the apparel space, but also in now the physical collectibles business with the Topps acquisition, and the gaming business that's being built, positions Candy to provide that connectivity and kind of that 360 fan experience across all those different verticals. So, so we're in this for the long haul. We want to be able to connect the dots. First things first, we've got to, focus our resources and our attention on our existing products and making them as great as we can and providing that utility and engagement. But we're really excited about all those different directions that we think we're uniquely positioned to pursue.
Great. I know we touched on burning earlier. BB asks, are there any definitive plans to incorporate gamification, for instance, fantasy lineup contests? If so, do we have an estimated target time for rolling that out by chance?
So full fantasy is something that is not part of the roadmap right now, but we do see the ability to use icons in fantasy style lineups and to be able to gamify, particularly with our dynamic statistics, in interesting ways. Right now, from a kind of roadmap perspective, that's something that we expect to be rolling out later on in the course of this season. But the goal is to have some of that spun up certainly in 2022.
Great. On the economic side, sweet spaghetti sauce, and I apologize for not addressing your earlier question. I feel it was answered in two other places as collaboration of what you had there. So they ask, we appreciate that Candy has adjusted based on user feedback, but I'm surprised about some of the price points that were clearly too high. For instance, racing 2022 icons, while others were clearly too low, 2021 icons. What's the process for determining drop prices and mint counts, as well as the overall economics of a release?
So, as we think about any of our new product releases, whether it's, mint size, whether it's product pricing, et cetera, we're trying to learn, obviously, from what we have in the marketplace. We're trying to learn from what we see overall in the sports collectibles marketplace and, what we're seeing overall in the NFT marketplace. And to some degree, the crypto marketplace. And so, obviously the environment that we're in today from a macroeconomic perspective, and certainly what we've seen happen in crypto over the course of the last few weeks, is pretty different than the environment we were in the fall, and really the environment that we sort of kicked the year off. I think people can probably appreciate when we create these products, there's a pretty long lead time, right? So as soon as we had dropped our All-Star series and our Uncut Diamonds series, we were already in production mode for 2022 icons. And so, working with our partners at Major League Baseball and with the Players Association, there's a reasonably long lead time to think about product structure, think about, asset, go through approval processes as well. And, we're in one of the most dynamic and volatile segments of any market, right, which is the crypto and NFT space. And so, listen, we've got to adapt. We've got to be nimble as we think about these things. And, our overall objective, as I said earlier, is to continue to sort of create product and release product that tracks with our community and the overall interest in the marketplace. And so the changes that we've made around timing and around structure of 2022 icons, it really are, in direct response to the overall environment and making sure that, we're thoughtful about managing that supply and that timing relative to our overall customer base. And, as it continues to grow, we'll continue to test and learn.
Thanks, Scott. And follow up to that question, I apologize if this was already answered, but ask, how difficult is it to adjust a drop like the 2022 icons, given the agreements you might have in place with the MLB, and how much flexibility is there generally to adjust?
So, I touched on that a little bit. What I'd say is we've got great partners with Major League Baseball and the Players Association. When we signed our exclusive agreement with them last year, again, it wasn't to, work on a drop, or, just figure out what we could put on the market. They're really interested in building a big business together and a big platform. And they understand at the end of the day, we need to adapt, and we need to be thoughtful about the overall market, and also what we're hearing from our customers. And so, while we do go through planning with them, and and certain approval processes, they look to us for leadership in this space. They look to us to give them, to tell them what we're doing and the guidance of how we adjust. So feel great about that partnership. And as I sort of alluded to earlier, some of the other sports properties and sports leagues that are out there, aren't approaching it the same way. They're focused kind of exclusively on revenue targets, and and certain economic goals that we actually don't think are the right metrics for where we are in the overall development of the space.
Right. I'm going to gravitate towards handy racing and Sweet Futures football again. I know we touched on that quite a bit, but I'm not sure if we answered our vision, our grand vision for these two collections. What will those be, starting with Candy Racing?
So with Candy Racing, we see the development of Candy Racing along similar lines to what we're doing with Major League Baseball. The NASCAR ecosystem and the RTA racing teams have huge fan communities, passionate communities, great opportunities to connect directly with the teams and the drivers, to connect with what happens at the track. And so we take that same sort of ecosystem approach to Candy Racing that we do to MLB. And so, as what you'll start to see over the course of this summer, on the back of our Digicast release earlier in the year, is we'll start to release new products in that racing ecosystem, that will start to build that product set out. There'll be utility that comes along with that. There'll be experiential elements of that. And so that some of the same things that we've done in working with the MLB teams, we're working directly with the RTA and the racing teams there to deliver on that front. With Sweet Futures, because these are individual relationships with players, as I said, it's a little more challenging to create some of those organizing structures across each of those players. And so I think we'll continue to focus on Sweet Futures as a platform for the release of those first rookie cards. We do continue to see those opportunities where we'll have some signed assets and some experiential elements in the way we create the product structure. And we certainly want to find ways to expand the Sweet Futures platform beyond football and beyond basketball, to celebrate some of the top college athletes across the country, and find ways to do that celebrate that athlete, connect with those communities that are passionate about that particular sport, and kind of bring it all under one umbrella.
And I know we have a lot of passionate fans in those sub communities, so thank you for sticking around. And we love the passion, and love to amplify those collections in the future. So we're excited about a lot what's cooking there. Yowzers has a question related to royalty fees. So they state, as customers, we understand that revenue is important for any company. In that light, how much does Candy value royalty fees, 10% versus initial sales fees? When Candy first announced the royalty fees at 10%, it might have been eyebrow raising, as it has doubled most of the industry's 5% compared to Top Shot all day. Somebody thought Candy would cater to royalty fees as a big part of their revenue stream. So they state that this may have made more sense when 2021 All-Star and Uncut packs were announced at very solid prices for consumers, but they felt that was brought down a bit with our releases of late.
Yeah, so this is one that I can address, but maybe not go into all the details. We do have different types of economic agreements with our partners, at baseball and the Players Association, and so in the context of those economic agreements, there are royalties, both from royalty sharing from sort of primary and secondary. And so I guess what I'll say is, some of those agreements certainly help to inform the way that we've structured fees in our marketplace. And over time, as those agreements shift, we'll be responsive to that. But that's really a lot of what has driven our initial thinking in the secondary market.
Thanks for expanding on that. Chris asks, pretend you were not the CEO for a second and just made a Candy account. What are some key areas you'd be critical of as a new user?
Listen, I think we're doing a great job on our product. I don't think there's any other sports NFT product out there that has the sort of dynamism, the features, the kind of the beauty of the assets that we create. And so I feel great about that. I think as we've as we've kind of addressed in some of the other questions, as a new user, I'm disappointed by some of the functionality, right? I want to be able to filter and sort my collection. I want to be able to see some of the secondary marketplace data and understand the value of what I hold, and how I should think about accessing the secondary market. What are the opportunities? What's trending, et cetera. So, those are all things that, as I mentioned, we're starting to release more of those features. I think we've been super fortunate that some of our community members have built some of those tools ahead of us, right? So, shout out to the Serial Chaser and Serial One guys who've, done a great job of creating some of those tools that, allow us as individuals, candy individuals and collectors to, to get some of that data while we build it ourselves. And so, those are the things that I think it's totally reasonable for people to be, critical of, logging onto the platform. And as I tell our team, every day, really what we want to be able to do is continue to deliver an evolutionary product and not just wait for what we're doing to be revolutionary. And so, we want to get to a place, and we certainly now have, many more resources and a larger team where we can be rolling out small features at a much more regular clip. Not every one of those is going to be sort of life-changing, but, what I want any user, one of our sort of core customers or a new customer, as they start to experience candy, is to come back to the site and see that things are changing and things are improving over time. That's really the cadence and the goal of where we want to get to.
All right. Targeting baseball fans. I love the energy from this question here from TA7 Superfan. They ask, why will huge baseball fans who are not into NFTs or digital collectibles quite yet today need this product to enhance their fan experience?
I think there's a couple elements, right? I think as we build that connectivity to the clubs themselves and, find those opportunities to bake in some of the experiential and the physical rewards, this owning MLB NFTs should be an extension of your passion as a fan and, provide new opportunities to connect with the club, with the players, and with the community. That's the idea. And I think when I, sort of pop into our Discord, pretty frequently, one of the things that I think is one of the best features about what Candy is and what we've built is that community, right? It's finding, it's creating a place for people who are passionate about baseball, not just to get together and talk about, icon products, but to talk about the game, right? To kind of bullshit, to tell stories, to support each other. And so, I hope what we're building is an extension of that community, the broad baseball community. And that's something that I think a real fan, wants and needs more of. Over time, as we start to release some of these, additional products or, functionality around ticketing, I really see NFTs becoming an absolute core part of the overall baseball fan experience, right? When you go to the stadium, and you're checking in or you're collecting your commemorative ticket, or one of the players that you hold an icon of, hits a home run, and you start to, you get that reaction function, and not just dynamic stats, but a change in status or a reward or a special opportunity. I think as we roll out more of those features, over time, it's going to be more and more important for fans, to basically connect to the sport through their collection.
And just to expand on that, just touching on Discord itself, I mean, where else do you see Justin Turner hanging out with Ross Strickland? I know Justin Turner had feedback about Clayton Kershaw's perfect game when he was taken out, and interactivity with fans is something that you just don't see in other products or other communities out there. Just player popping in. I mean, for instance, on the sidebar right here, we have JGG Darty Racing, who represents Ricky Stenhouse from our Kenny Racing collection, and they regularly just talk racing with fans. They onboard new collectors who are coming about, just curious about the races, athletes, whoever it may be, and I mean, it's a beauty to see. It's super fun and a super cool, unique perk out of collecting candy and being here. So really appreciative of having that aspect of collecting. I think that's one really unique perk that NFTs and digital collectibles bring. But their next question coming from Coach Nevi, they ask, when will the ability to introduce Sweet Futures football become available on the candy marketplace?
So, the bridge back to candy from, our first products that we minted on ETH is, again, sort of part of our plan and our roadmap. And we're looking at a couple of different mechanisms to do that. The plan for Sweet Futures overall and ultimately for candy is to, for candy to be the place where all of the products that we've created live. But as we talked about some of the other features, whether those are marketplace features or payment features, et cetera, we're mapping all this out on our roadmap and really trying to lean into the things that we think are, the most critical for our products. Obviously for our Sweet Futures products now on the Candy platform, they're minted on Candy. But we want to make sure, and on Palm, but we want to make sure that our prior products, aren't disjointed in separate marketplaces, that we can bring those into our marketplace as well.
Great. Move on, next question, Coach Nevi, follow up. You know what, I can answer that on my own later on. So, Sore Teeth, Chap the Barber, they state, early access was something that was touted as being valuable, specifically the Sweet Future Chaser, Uncut Diamonds, All-Star Chaser set holders. However, the pool seemed more diluted the more inclusive the groups became and far too accessible. Are there any plans to continue to provide value for Sweet Futures, All-Star, and Uncut Diamond Chaser holders? Something along the lines of maybe airdrop packs or early access in the future that maybe has more value?
Yeah, I think this sort of goes back to what we talked about before, which is, we want to find the right cadence and the right sort of access and utility for any of our chasers or for any of our early products. And, like I said, we're still a little bit in sort of test and learn mode around the right way to provide that. And so, we'll continue obviously to have some of our products which are very limited and where early access, has more value for some of these. And then we'll continue to work on some of those, rewards that, may be available to folks who have some of these, only available to folks who have some of these chasers, and where those are experiences or physical assets, et cetera. So, I know it's a relatively generic answer, but I want to be honest with folks is that, we've been building out, the idea around how that should work. And it isn't going to necessarily be a one size fits all as we continue to sort of create products and as we continue to, work with folks who have those assets. We'll test different types of access and different types of rewards. And hopefully continue to provide value to people.
Yeah, and touching on Chaser Awards, one thing that some may have had questions on were not announcing awards ahead of time. There's no creative reveal or what their award really is. So Brett's question is, when will Chaser Awards be announced for the 2022 MLB Icon Leadoff Series, and why aren't they announced proactively?
Yeah, I think we're I think we're aware of this, and as we announce new completion rewards, certainly subset completions and things like that for icons, we want to be proactive about what that chaser is going to be up front, so people know they've got a good sense of what they're playing for and how it fits into the ecosystem, and have a better sense of what the value might be when they complete it. So that's a change that we're looking to make here as we start to release new types of chasers and completions.
Great. Worms, repeat questionnaire. They ask, can you please touch upon your partnership with the LVPA? Basically, just looking for what exclusive rights that we have with the MLB, as they do see some competition in the space that they're unsure about.
Yeah, so our partnership with the league and the Players Association really covers all of the media assets that are available around the league marks, the team marks, and the player data. There is, I think, as folks on this call know, there was an existing agreement in place with Topps to be able to create digital versions of the physical cards that Topps makes. But the NFT rights outside of that all sit within Candy. Some of the other parts of Worm's question here is also, not just the media rights, but things around price points, utility, etc. And as I had alluded to earlier, that's a dialogue that we have with the league and with the Players Association around our product structure, how we're thinking about that, revenue projections, etc. And things like utility, some of which are kind of wholly in our control, and then some of those are things that we have to work directly with the league and directly with the teams on. And so it really depends on some of the things that are sort of away from the NFT asset itself.
Thank you, Scott. Moving on to WWE, I'm not sure how much we can share, but we'd released a teaser about our partnership, and Stevie Franchise is asking, when does Candy expect to release more details about that partnership along with subsequent drops?
So we are already deep in the mix with the team at WWE, working on product development and a timeline. I think what I would say is people can expect our first product releases, over the course of this summer. And folks probably know that WWE has SummerSlam coming up, and so around in and around SummerSlam is certainly what we're looking towards. May not exactly be in relation to SummerSlam, but our team has been up to the WWE offices, gone through their vaults and started to meet directly with some of the wrestlers who are super excited about the space and super excited about being involved. So we think WWE is going to be a really fun partner here, and really excited about the potential to create some products that are unique to to that ecosystem and to the athletes there.
Excited. I know we have a lot of WWE fans. I know Reasonable and Muntner grew up watching WWE. You can catch all the gifts right now. People are excited. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun when that's released. Adrian, I mean, we create beautiful assets at Candy. One of the most highly sought after are the World Series rings. So people were big fans of Jackie Robinson autograph ball, but in the same essence as a rotating ring from the Braves collection and Dodgers World Series ring, do you ever foresee an autographed baseball from something like the Jackie Robinson collection being in the same light, in that same kind of encompassing almost the entire video and rotating the same manner, just doing more creatives like that? I think they were really a hit, but finding a mix between the two seem to really resonate with Adrian here.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we're excited about as we're building out the baseball ecosystem is exploring some of those opportunities for memorabilia, and not just kind of connecting a current piece of physical memorabilia with a digital version of it, but looking back at some of historic memorabilia. And so, as we go forward over the course of this summer, and we'll start to introduce, what's going to be our Legends series of products. We think there are definitely some exciting opportunities there to include memorabilia and signed assets as part of that.
Yeah, and community, feel free to share what autograph ball from a player you'd like to see as a collectible at Candy. I'm sure there'll be a lot of varying opinions, but just curious. Just curious. WB talks about ads. I mean, hey, go to MLB.com. You'll see an entire site takeover. We've seen the digital banner with Anthony Rizzo, Aaron Judge, teeing off, just absolutely slaughtering the ball over the Candy digital banner at Yankee Stadium. So I hope that answers the question about not seeing an ad at any ballpark. But what are your thoughts on strictly running ads across wider spread ballparks across all 30 teams, or sponsoring a play of the day on MLB TV?
So yeah, I guess what I'd say there is Major League Baseball has been a great partner for us. Folks who were involved with Candy at the end of last year when we launched the platform, around the playoffs and the World Series. You saw Candy Digital prominently displayed on the screen during the World Series. MLB TV had segments around our play of the day products, and have done some work on supporting icons. And so we've been super happy with our ability to work with them, and for them to support getting the word out about what's happening with Candy and MLB. Part of what we're doing as it relates to activations in the park and in the parks and different types of more traditional advertising is still very much in that test and learn type of strategy. And so, super exciting to see that outfield digital banner in Yankee Stadium, and we've had some digital activations in some other stadiums as well. And what we want to do is we want to make sure that when we're out there advertising, that we're sort of seeing that conversion, that people are coming to the site, that they're experiencing products for the first time, et cetera. And so we'll test different types of channels, and the ones that we think are the most effective, we'll lean in. But we're still early in that exercise, I'd say.
Great. Badges. We might have touched on it briefly earlier, but it seems to be a hot topic in collectibles. People love their rookie badges, their MVP badges. I know it's on our roadmap. How much can you expand on the topic about introducing those coveted badges into Candy's ecosystem in the future?
I think as we talked about some of the features that we're going to roll out around Marketplace, and then ultimately as we build out that functionality, badging and recognition of our most active collectors and our largest collectors is absolutely part of that. We certainly see a world where the ability to curate your collection, and add additional features, displaying that not just across the icon product, but across the other products, not just in MLB, but across the different Candy verticals. That's ultimately kind of where we see it going, and being able to recognize somebody's collection and the badging that they have, not just to view their collection, but also to understand when you're buying and selling in the marketplace, who are you buying from? All of those features are on the roadmap for later this year.
Exciting. I mean, I hope y'all are excited too. So I'm sure we've touched on sweet features quite a few times. People are always excited about promotions, marketing around them, and I know we explained, kind of our viewpoint there. But Paul P is a heavy collector, and they ask if Candy plans on doing any marketing or promotion for Sweet Features basketball leading into the upcoming NBA draft.
Yeah, I think the answer there is really around the players that we have in the Sweet Futures basketball. We do want to activate and do some promotion and marketing around them as they go through that draft process. We talked about that a little bit on the football side, and didn't quite deliver the way we might have done on that. So I think there's an opportunity for us to kind of rethink how we do that with basketball.
Oh yeah, and let us know in chat who you expect to go first from that player pool from our Sweet Futures basketball draft class. Really, really exciting stars to be. Bowens asks, are you concerned with the negative perception with the community of employees being allowed to collect due to conflict of interest, especially when you factor in the inside info they might have when there are future challenges ahead? And I know we recently released that, or we released the employee code of conduct in the past, as visible in the official links channel. But if you can expand on that a bit, and maybe why it's beneficial to collect as well and be part of the process.
Yeah, so as Usman mentioned, we do have an employee trading policy that restricts employees' ability to sort of buy and sell our products around releases, and I think there's a couple things I'd say just generally about employees participating. We're all fans and we're all collectors, which is why we're in this business, right? We're super excited about the future, and we don't want to sit on the sidelines, right? We want to participate. What's important, though, from my perspective and from the leadership's perspective, is that we never create an opportunity for an employee to be advantaged versus any of our customers. And so, when we release a product, employees are on the same, they're on the same footing as anyone else in our community in terms of, getting access to those or not getting access to, more limited products. So no one's advantaged in that. As it relates to, anything that we might be doing around, different challenges or sort of new product development, we spend a lot of time thinking about that and adjusting what employee trading or employee activity will be to again make sure that nobody inadvertently or consciously has an unfair advantage. My own background, for what it's worth, is almost 3 decades in financial services markets. And so, for better or for worse, I view everything that we do sort of through a lens of compliance and, a legal framework. And, want to make sure that, we're incredibly sensitive to how our secondary market functions and how, our employee participation works in that setting.
Thank you, Scott. That was as great of an answer as any. I know it's a sensitive question that comes up from time to time in the NFT space. So I really appreciate you touching on that, and I know it's appreciated by the community as well. Kazi, I apologize. Well, Candy's our company. Kazi's a fan of Candy. Does Candy have plans to incorporate play-to-earn mechanics into the Candy Racing platform in the future? Just looking at those Digicast cars, kind of what we did with the Candy Cup Racing, but to a broader extent, maybe expanding on that.
Yeah, I mean, play to earn is a term that can mean a lot of things to a lot of different people, and so if we're talking about sort of Axie Infinity style play to earn, that's not on the roadmap. We do think, though, around Candy Racing and Digicasts, that there will be some really interesting ways for us to gamify and utilize those assets, sort of tied back specifically to race performance and challenges. So absolutely see that on the roadmap, but I'm not sure, that what I'll call sort of the traditional play to earn mechanic is necessarily, what we're focused on.
Great. Hey, Scott, universal praise across from the community. They just really appreciate you for taking the time. It's been running, what was it? More than an hour and a half now. I think it's an hour and 15. And especially as late as where you are, just want to say that we appreciate you. Thank you for taking the time with us, community. Thank you for spending your evening with us as well, asking such thoughtful questions. and hopefully we were able to answer a lot of them in depth. So, thank you to our incredible CEO, Scott. Scott, do you have any final words for the chat?
No, listen, I just want to thank everyone again for participating. And kind of echo the sentiments I had before. We, like I said, as we think about this business, we've been building the rocket ship as we've been flying it. We try to be really thoughtful and humble. I think one of the things that I'm most grateful for, with this community and with our customers is that, when we do hit a bump in the road or things don't work out exactly as we planned, we hear that feedback, but we also, hear a lot of confidence and a lot of trust. And so I was actually speaking at a conference today about community and, online communities. And, one of the things that I highlighted was the strength of our community and how active and supportive the community is, not just of Candy, but of each other. And so, those are the things that I think as we burn the midnight oil and, really work to make great products, keep the fire burning and keep us motivated, because we want to continue to deliver for you guys. So just thanks again, and really happy to have a chance to answer questions directly, and certainly look forward to an opportunity to do it again here in the future.